I'm Raji Narayan Singh, and let's square up trans right. Tennessee law barring doctors from asking kids about gender sparks LGBTQ plus backlash. Advocacy groups are warning that a new Tennessee law restricting doctors from asking minors questions about gender identity could harm LGBTQ plus youth and interfere with medical care. House Bill 1665, signed into law by Governor Bill Lee, takes effect in October. It requires doctors to notify parents before asking minors about what it defines as sensitive gender-related questions. It also blocks insurance companies and managed care providers from including gender-related questions on medical forms. The Tennessee Equality Project and Human Rights Campaign criticized the measure in a new report, calling it an unnecessary attack on queer people and a form of medical censorship. The group said, quote, everyone should be alarmed by the scale of government control over doctors and patients. Speech under the law, end quote. According to the report, supporters of the bill argued that asking children about gender identity could confuse or influence them into being transgender. However, there is no evidence that asking minors about gender identity causes someone to become transgender. It also argues that such conversations are critical for mental health care and prevention services. No Democrats voted for the legislation. Okay. Who in their right mind would choose to be transgender? I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. I'm crazy in a good way, but I am not crazy. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't have chosen this life as hard as it's been. Now, I wouldn't change it because it's me and who I am, and it's what I believe I came to the planet to be. Mm. But if you had asked me, if someone had given me a look into the future and showed me how difficult it would be to live as a trans woman in this world at, like, let's say 16, 9 out of 10, I would have not chosen it.
Wow.
It is me. It's like I couldn't help it. And I don't think people can get it through their thick skulls that you don't choose it. It just is. I often, like, when I get into debates, I'll say to a straight person, what day, month, day, and time did you wake up and say, oh, I think I'll be straight? You didn't. You just are.
Yeah.
You just are. You don't, it's not a decision that we make. It's how we're wired. Mm. And so it is what it is. But I think people don't understand that what's natural for me might not be natural for Faye, or any of us. Mm-hmm. It's an individual thing. And this is natural for me.
Yeah.
I think it's just insane how conservatives and Republicans aren't outraged over this. They may not like trans people, they may not like the whole gender identity thing, but the idea that your local government can tell your doctor that they're not allowed to ask you a question about gender. That's crazy.
When did politicians know more than doctors? Like, why aren't we getting our scripts from politicians then? Why don't we go to a politician's office to, check our sciatica?
The Republicans, what do they always say? Less government. But then they want to control
the American Medical Association, the American Psychiatric Association. These are the arbiters of what goes on, of what you should be asking. Of course, there's issues in the DSM when it comes to gender identity. Mm-hmm. They would say that it's a mental illness, right?
Yeah.
So you would then want a doctor to ask you those questions. Yeah. So that, even their own point of saying that we can't ask you a question about this, undermines their whole thing that it's a mental disorder that needs to be diagnosed and treated. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they're just censoring that, it's just insane. And there should be a Supreme Court challenge to this as to why a local government could say to a doctor that you can't even ask a question.
I know.
And how many doctors anyways are asking those questions when you go in for care, right?
Not many.
And what if there is somebody who is, to their point, the fascist point of like, all right, somebody looks like they're maybe presenting as a female, but they're actually biologically male, that they would need to ask you the question.
Of course.
There are a lot of kids that kind of can look a little androgynous where you would ask a question like that. So the fact that you're just tying the hand, it's insane to me.
Well, I think you're referring to Republicans from before 2008.
Before MAGA.
Before MAGA. What was the Tea Partiers before that? You're referring to them. Today's Republican Party is all about enforcing their worldview, their Christian nationalism, their bigotry on everybody else. That's what they're all about. And unfortunately, I don't even have to write new notes or talking points from the last story. This is a made-up crisis. It is pointless. It is not saving kids. You said there's no evidence proving that just asking the question harms the kids. Well, you know what? Then let's find out. Let's ask the questions. Let them ask the questions, and then if we find out that pushed them over the edge and made them trans, well, then we'll revisit the conversation. But the fact is, knowledge is power. Republicans know that. The fascists know that, and that's why they're trying to cut it off at the head.
Yeah. And listen, as a queer youth growing up, I mean, there were many times I felt so ostracized. And if I had someone to talk to about it, maybe I wouldn't have had such a difficult time. And that's why our suicide rate is so high.
Yeah.
And they're not going to ask the question unless they have a reason to ask that question.
Yeah.
If they suspect there's something going on that they need to talk to your family or to talk to them about it, then they'll ask the question. But that's not a standard question that they're like, what gender do you identify when they come in for a cold or something?
Yeah. Well, there is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.